Hi! In this video I want to show you how you can start playing Tooth and Nail on a budget. This is the list, full price list I'm playing without the sideboard, and the big part of its price is contained within the mana base, the creature toolbox and Utopia Sprawl. So I've made changes in those areas to make it new player friendly. So I've managed to cut the price by about 80%, so from a deck that costs about $680 down to $140. If you're in Europe, I've used card market prices, and it's about cost reduction, and the cost reduction is from 350 euros down to about 65. So in both cases it's about 80% price reduction. And now the deck looks like this. So let's but first, the ramp pattern changed, and I'm going to explain it to you how. I've made videos explaining how Tooth and Nail ramps, old version and new version of Tooth and Nail. And the new version is using 1-drops to cast a 3-drop, ramping 3-drop on turn 2, and then start doing Tooth and Nail things on turn 3 onwards. But all Tooth and Nail versions were playing untappers and auras without any specific curve. So the budget version will not have many 1-drops, so it cannot be 1-3x curve, so it will be untappers and auras, but this will make it slower to play. So this budget deck will be playing cheap ramp spells on turn 1 and 2, like Arbor Elf, Voyaging Satyr, and the replacement for Utopia Sprawl, Wolfwillow Haven. We will be casting those on turn 1 and 2 into 3 mana ramp spells like Overgrowth and Llanowar Tribe on turn 3, and then start doing Tooth and Nail things on turn 4 onwards. So basically it will be delayed by 1 turn. But if you're playing with friends, that shouldn't be a problem. You're not going to face, I don't know, tier 1 decks, or you're probably starting the game, so everyone will have a low budget. So how the deck has changed in other areas. Tooth and Nail is still there, but the creature par it uses to combo is different. It's Archetype of Endurance, which gives hexproof to Platinum Angel. So you have a creature that prevents you from losing the game and your opponents from winning the game with hexproof. It doesn't necessarily win the game, but is good enough. There are, however, cheaper combos to play, but they are not castable in mono-green deck. And those cheaper combos are as follows. Realm Razor, which will exile all lands, and then Tyrant of Discord, which will destroy every non-land permanent opponent has. But you have to first exile all lands and then let Tyrants of Discord ability resolve. So you will remove all your opponent lands and everything that's not a land they have, so basically wipe their entire board. A combo that has been recommended to me involving Leveler to exile your library and Thassa's Oracle to win the game with 0 cards in your library. Third combo is Atarka and Kolagan to attack in the air the same turn Tooth and Nail has been cast for 24 damage. But as I said, they are not castable in mono-green deck, so you will have to wait for Tooth and Nail to put them onto the battlefield. Okay, the changes to the toolbox. I've been wondering how to specialize this part of the deck, and I've come to the conclusion that it's best to play kind of a beatdown game. So there's Wolfbriar Elemental to make tokens, Hornet Queen to make tokens, Nissa to turn lands into creatures, and then support cards. Vivien to permanently pump creatures and give them evasion, a removal on her -3, and you can grab a creature from your sideboard if you need with her -5. Then there is Primal Command and Eternal Witness package. Primal Command is, I mean, it does a little bit of everything. It's not great, but it's very useful. And lastly, Steel Hellkite, one of my all-time favorite creatures. So I just decided to put this in here. It's also removal with its X ability. So if you want to build sideboard for this deck, there will be cards that will probably end up there anyway, like Obstinate Baloth and Thragtusk to gain life against aggro decks. You won't be playing Madcap Experiment combo because, you know, it's a mono green deck. Something like Cragplate Baloth against control, and more removal in form of Acidic Slime, Terastodon, Beast Within, whatever. In the mana base there are also 2 utility lands. You can choose any utility lands you want, but I've went with this one, so you can be pumping mana into it every turn if you don't have anything to play and turn it into a big threat. So that's how this deck will work. You will want to cast Tooth and Nail to make the combo of Platinum Angel and Archetype of Endurance, and your plan B is to swarm the board and there pump your team and swing for lethal. However, you can customize this deck any way you want, put any creatures you like, and I'm going to show you some of them. There are some creatures that you can pump mana into to create value, creatures that you pay mana for and they do something when they enter or die, creatures that produce more creatures every turn without any mana investments, some big finishers, and planeswalkers. I'm not going to explain every card, but just quickly show you the cards that are cheap and you can play in this deck. Those are not all, but some of them. So you can be, put them in, test them, see if you like them or not. Okay, if you want, you can even put some sub-team in the entire Tooth and Nail deck. Like, I don't know, make it kind of a wolf-based with Wolfwillow Haven, Wolfbriar Elemental, Master of the Wild Hunt, and Garruk Relentless. Alright, there are also planeswalkers. The best one is of course Nissa, who shakes the world. She's great at producing mana, etc, etc. The other two I would suggest are Garruk Wildspeaker and Vivien Arkbow Ranger. Others are not as good, but there's nothing stopping you from playing them. Okay, with that out of the way, I think we've finished talking about how to make Tooth and Nail budget. I've been thinking because the big part of this deck cost is Tooth and Nail itself. I've been thinking if I should replace it with something like Shared Summons, but playing Tooth and Nail without Tooth and Nail is not the same, so I've decided to let it stay. Then there are Planeswalkers. They are big part of the price of this budget deck, but I think they're essential. You can replace them with cheaper creatures, but I don't think the deck would work as well. So there it is, budget Tooth and Nail.